I think one thing that, continues to be a larger conversation in this series is you constantly on the hunt, I guess we can describe it, whether or not Michelle cheated.
Yeah.
I worry in a way that you're either like, I have to catch her in it. And then even if you do, I think you're still going to be obsessed with it.
I disagree. It's that we filmed last summer, and at this point, I think everybody, the audience, myself, and everybody around us is kind of tired of this story. But yeah, she had just moved out, and I was picking up little crumbs to try to put a puzzle together, let's say. And, my biggest thing was Michelle and I sat down with a friend, sort of a mediator, before we started filming, and she admitted that she cheated, but she said it was not with Aaron. But I still wanted to put the pieces together to see if she was lying, because at that point, again, we still hadn't even filed for divorce. And I was just, in my head, just trying to figure out what had actually happened. And now at this point, does it really matter?
Right,
I'm at
I
that
think
point.
That's, yeah, okay.
It's like Isabella and Michelle have moved in with Aaron. He was around. You see our relationship kind of transform a little bit in the Hawaii episodes.
Yes.
And it got to the point of like, now we're almost a year. I mean, we were together during the fires, and, he evacuated with Michelle and Isabella. And now we kind of have this dynamic where, does it really matter?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because it's playing off where, and I don't think I'm alone in the audience being like,
I won't
you
drop
have
it.
empathy or something? Do you know what I mean? In a way. And so I'm sure that there has to be a way where you watch the show and you're like, oh God, yeah, now I'm seeing more clearly. Or was it that you were already doing work on yourself? Because I think there's a lot of sort of like, I think in some ways people see you as a villain.
Yeah, somebody said to me a while back, because I was sort of worried how it would kind of play out. And somebody said to me, like, in order to be the hero, you have to be the villain. And I think when I watch reality TV, you see people ebb and flow. They have good seasons, bad seasons. They have good scenes, bad scenes. And, I think when you're sort of in the mix of it all, and you're not just sort of a friend of or a side character on these shows, you're going to have moments where you put your foot in your mouth, and then you apologize for it, and you take accountability for it. And I think, there are going to be moments, I think, in life, there are moments when you're a villain and moments when you redeem yourself. And,
sure.
I'm just being as authentic as I can. And I will do and say stupid stuff. It's just human nature. It's certainly my nature. And I catch myself doing it still to this day. But when you can recognize it, and, you make a different decision than you may have a year ago, I think that's growth. And whether that's, 1%, 10%, or 50% growth, you'll get there eventually if that's your goal. You know? And that's my goal for sure, is how I respond to certain situations, how I take accountability, my consideration for what I do and say in a moment. And I know that's tough on reality TV because you're not supposed to sort of direct your scene, but you have to consider, like, there are some things I can and cannot say because I have a little girl, and one day she's going to pay for the sins of her father, and I'm going to have to explain these things. So you continue to do that work, and you do the best you can, but that doesn't mean you're not going to put your foot in your mouth every once in a while.
Well, for sure. But your foot in your mouth are things like calling your wife a high-paid escort in a group text, which could have leaked no matter what. That could have made its way to TMZ through this group chat of 25 to 30 guys, or calling her a cheating whore. These things will probably haunt you. Right. Do they haunt you?
They do, because she didn't deserve it. And again, like, I'll have to explain that at some point to Isabella, but the thing that I'm working on and tattooed on my arm is emotion clouds reason. And sometimes you get so worked up, and there are certain triggers that, when I called her a lying, cheating whore out on that balcony, she'd accuse me of cheating. I hate cheating. I think it's a quitter's way out. She knows that. She knows it's a button to push, and she pushed it, and I let my emotions, I didn't take that one breath or that one step back and say, how do I respond? I just was reactive. And that's one of the problems I have, is I'm very reactive. And if I'm reactive with emotion behind it, it really turns into a mess. And,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I talk about consideration moving forward. Now I know the tools or have the tools to be able to be like, okay, that didn't make me feel great. How am I going to respond? Because my response is more important than what was said. And, it does haunt me.